offensive that you find it offensive.
It's Hotline League episode 205. We're starting off on a fight. Mark and I are in a fight right now, but we have to keep doing the show anyway because we both have significant financial incentives to do this.
Is because Travis banned my entire tag of my Twitch emotes, so no one of my subs could use any of my emotes in his channel.
Which I agree was a little too much. However,
because he doesn't want to feel intimidated.
Mark tried
to
circumvent a ban on one of his emotes by what is it, ban dodging? What's the term that they use? Ban dodging, I think. He tried to ban dodge one of his emotes. I was down to let all of his, and then he tried to game the system so that I couldn't ban a very specific emote, which is offensive. And anyway, the show, by the way, thank you. Shout out to Alienware, Grubhub, and Gamefuel for sponsoring the show. It's going to be a spicy episode, I can already tell, because of how things are starting. But let me go ahead and introduce my constant co-host, Mark Zimmerman. How's it going, Mark?
It's good. I had a pretty long day. Got up and recorded the Blame game earlier. It went pretty well, but it turned out to be a longer one than I thought it would be.
Really?
I feel like it's about 10 minutes. I want to keep it between like 6 and 8 as like an ideal sweet spot. 10 starts to get a little bit long for like viewer brain retention and digestibility. Part of it's a series now. Whenever there's series, things tend to get a little deeper. And part of it is I've realized that like when I do it live in front of Twitch chat, people often I see people not understand some of the points I'm making, and I have to like go in more depth to make sure that they're not getting confused. Whereas when I make it in the past, I would just like kind of steamroll over it, and I didn't care. Either you got it or you didn't. And like people in the comments,
is that a good thing or not? Because now you have to you're dumbing the whole thing down to the lowest common denominator, right?
Yeah, I feel like it's not really a good thing. Like it would be better if I just said my thoughts on it and moved on rather than like caveating and all this stuff. So it's something I'll have to balance going forward.
I know that this is this and this is this.
And a lot of people think that this was the right move here, but really, my opinion.
And really, when you say a lot of people, you just mean
like 4 people in chat.
Steampunk76 in chat,
yeah,
who is like an LS stan and hates that you're disagreeing with him or something. What is this week's episode about?
It's about Abba and Closer getting gapped and Jenkins dying a lot.
Okay, well, I'm looking forward to that. Next up, we have, I think for the first time ever, LeTigress on the show. LeTigress, welcome to the show. This is the first time, right? We haven't had you on previously?
It is. First time ever. Thanks for inviting me. I usually catch the VODs. I don't even get to usually catch it live. So.
Well, I'm glad now we can have you on live. It seemed like a good week to have you on because of the very exciting weekend for you. I don't know if people had realized you had cast Academy previously, but this was not your first time casting League of Legends in a professional sense, but your first time casting LCS.
Yeah, I've casted Academy and the collegiate scene as well leading up to this. So it's kind of cool to see the people that have seen that and be like, oh, snap, it's happening on the LCS. But a lot of people having no idea as well. And it was a really insane experience.
Were you frustrated at all that they paired you with their weakest caster in order to like make your debut?
Oh, yeah. So frustrated. So awful. No, I actually was so excited, though, to see that Mark was going to be the first person I casted with. Because if anything, we've spent all that time on the desk together over the past 2 years. So having that rapport in an on-camera sense already with the person that I would be casting with did add a lot into being able to transition into going into the LCS. So looking forward to, in the future down the line, getting to see what it's like casting with everyone as well. But this was definitely I was super hyped about it for sure.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty funny. So Mark had told me earlier in the week, he had said like, oh, I have to run early because I'm going to do like a test cast or something with LeTigress or whatever, or like a building, I don't know, synergy building. I forget.
Practice cast.
Practice cast. Yeah. Something very technical, like practice. And I had thought that it was just something you guys were doing for like, as like a fun experiment or something. And so whenever suddenly you popped up on the casting desk, I think it was Sunday, right? Yesterday?
It was on Friday.
Friday. That's
My God, all these days
meshed together.
Yes, exactly. I was like, oh my gosh, it's cool to see you guys do that. I was super, super well received. I thought I don't know how much you saw. I don't know how often you wade into community responses because sometimes it's not a healthy decision. But whenever I went and looked at all the response or a lot of the comments in the threads for those games, people were very, very appreciative. And there was even one comment that I said that thought that you guys were already like the second best caster duo behind Flowers and Kobe. So it was pretty cool to see all the positive feedback.
I think we were better than Kobe. Is he going to charge in again?
I don't think he can
doing
hear
everything
from behind again.
to come charging it. It was really, really insane, honestly. Like all the feedback and stuff. Mark knows, like, well, I almost didn't get the tweet out that I was gonna cast because I was running from the stage. We ended up not being able to do the interview at the time, but I was running from there up to the caster booth and was like, oh snap, I didn't actually get the tweet out, and then took the pic and all that and was like, oh, you know, I'm not even gonna look at socials like while casting and stuff. I just want to focus. So I didn't even see everything until later, and obviously kind of mentally prepare for like the worst possibilities. And I already have kind of an approach to social media because I do like to get an idea of community sentiment, but in a healthy way where I can process it and actually apply it to my growth as a broadcaster. So I did want to see what everyone was saying. And then it was wild scrolling through, and especially seeing from peers, for instance, in the industry and what opinions they held, a lot of those that have experience in the field and the like, was really cool to see. So a big, huge exhale after getting the first 2 games done.
Yeah. I thought it was super cool. Some people, sorry, really quickly. Some people are saying I'm a little loud, so I'm gonna go ahead and try to turn that down a bit. But please keep letting me know about audio, guys, because I know sometimes it gets a little funky. Yeah, no, I mean it's super cool. How long was that in the works for both of you guys? I don't know if this was something where like a week before they were like, let's try this, or if this had always been the plan, or if you'd been trying to make it happen.
Gabby, is Travis like a little choppy, breaky uppy to you on Discord, or is that just on my end?
I think it's just on your end. I think you sounded fine to me there. Bye. Hi.
I'll try and figure it out. I just left.
Do I sound choppy to you?
No, I think we're fine. Maybe it's just Discord being a little funky. It does that sometimes, and then resolves itself.
Whatever. As long as it's fine for the audience. What was the question?
I was asking both of you guys, or maybe more Gabby, like how much of, or how long had this been in the works? Was this something? Obviously, you'd been casting the Academy side and like other league stuff previously, but was this something where like during the off season you're like, hey, I really want to try to make a push into casting, or did they approach you? Was it something relatively recent where they're like, would you guys want to do this? I don't know.
As far as the desire to cast on the LCS, I mean, when I joined the team, like the team that we work with knew that I had casting experience, and I was really dedicated to doing Academy for some time with the hope of eventually. What is this I'm seeing in Skype? What did you just put over here?
I'm telling
this
Travis
is our
about...
secret back chat. Mark and I have the ability to chat with the guests and ourselves in the Skype chat.
Oh,
and so we can say things secretly that we don't want people to know. But now you're outing us.
And I'm just here exposing it all.
Exactly,
Look,
exactly.
I am a noob with Skype. I have no idea how it works. I only use it for Twitch Rivals and had to create a whole different account because I couldn't even access my old one.
It works exactly the same as every other video messaging program. There's
I don't know why
audio and video and a chat.
It's just... Travis is such a boomer. There's no reason to use Skype.
Mark knows that there are I've literally explained to him the technical side, and he loves doing this, just leaning in to make it sound like I'm a strange person. Anyway, sorry. Finish your story, please, Gabby.
Learning things. Anyway, so I'd been hoping to cast LCS for some time, was working towards that, and then found out earlier on ahead of this lock-in performance that we would get the opportunity to do it together. So as soon as we knew, get our practice cast in, excited, get comfy and cozy leading up to it. And then, it was a lot of fun.
Nice. Well, I'm glad you had such a well-received debut. I'm glad that you had a great caster alongside you. It was pretty fun to see you guys make all that happen. And it seems like, again, people were really excited about it. So, hopefully we get to see more of it in the future. I never know how things go with the broadcast. They change things every 5 seconds, but all right. this week, let's talk about what happened this week. So obviously, we have one big upset to talk about in Lock-In. There's Chemtech Drake. I'm sure that's going to be more of a Mark thing than us, since I know, Mark, you've had a lot of opinions about Chemtech Drake previously.
Oh yeah, I gotta find one for that today. I haven't ever ranted against it as hard as I really feel, but now that it's dead, I can just let go. And I'm sorry to anyone on the design team who hears this, but
yeah. Well, if anybody wants to call in about Chemtech Drake, you can argue it shouldn't have been removed. You can celebrate its demise. Whatever you need to do, you can have that conversation. Other than that, I'm wondering if it's mostly been Lock-In and the Chemtech Drake stuff. Has there been anything else big? Obviously, TL finally ran their full bot lane this weekend. That was pretty cool. I'm not sure if there is anything else.
I think they're reacting to the games this weekend and predicting the finals, because like a lot of people were expecting 100 Thieves to be in the finals. I think there's some predictions, myself included, that might need to get updated.
Everyone's wrong.
Yeah.
Like even the aspect of only Jat or Freak can win in terms of who wins the whole thing. They still predicted 100 Thieves to be the other team in the finals. So
yeah,
just pretty wild.
Yeah, no, and like,
go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, some of the teams, I think like EG and Dig play or something. Like some of the finals aren't even possible now, let alone the 100 Thieves side. Like Dig would then take the place of 100 Thieves, and they're playing someone else later. I can't remember which one it is.
Dig versus TL and EG versus C9.
Yeah.
I'm very interested to see if Dig can actually cause an upset again. I feel like it's very unlikely, but who knows? And then I think I'm really excited about the other game. It's going to be pretty fucking hype. So yeah, let's get some predictions in. If anybody has some calls that they want to make, or if you guys want to, I imagine there will be some call either this weekend or this week or next about how C9 should just keep running the same exact roster. I've done this show long enough that I know somebody will try to be like, they should just stick to this roster. Yeah. Some stuff about River. There's a whole bunch of stuff. So either way, please go ahead, Mark. You want to explain how the show or how the call-ins work?
Yes, so it's a little slow polling people, so I'll need a little bit of time. But this is a live call-in show. So right now in Discord, I'm spamming the link to go ahead and join up the Discord that we use. When you get here, go ahead and join Pleb Calls or Pleb Calls to voice channels. Then mute your microphone once you get in there. No mouth breathing, please. And then up above in the text channels is where you're actually going to put your takes. So go ahead, write out, you think EG is going to stomp, TL is going to lose to Dig as well. Whatever it is, your take, go ahead, put it there. If we like it, we'll pull you from the Pleb Calls channel into the waiting room channel, where you'll hang out until it's your turn. We'll do a quick audio check when it is your turn to make sure you sound good before pulling you into the on-air room to discuss with LeTigress and Travis.
Do the talky talk things.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. While Mark is pulling folks, let me also mention first off that if you are a sub, first off, thank you for subbing. Ganyu and Jean-Li are releasing in Genshin Impact tomorrow, and I'm going to need a lot of revenue to fund what are going to be some pretty big roles. Mark, I'm thinking about going for Ganyu constellations.
Oh no!
I was even considering doing like a sub, like a mini subathon to try to
24-hour subathon to get Ganyu to C6.
I don't know if I do 24, but just
24-hour subathon to get Ganyu to C6.
It's gonna be anyway. So first off, if you are a sub, thank you for funding my Genshin addiction. Secondly, please make sure you sync your Twitch with your Discord so that you can get access to the subtopics chat, and you can also put your take in there. It doesn't guarantee that you get on, but it does move a little slower, and we do try to pull some calls from there as well. So not a guarantee, but it is kind of a cool way to help give back to you guys. And speaking of subs, let me read those off since it'll buy Mark some extra time. Cal Seether, thank you for the 6 months. LeTigress, thank you for the 13. Fish Emulsion for a year and a half. Chevol. Colombiano XP, 6 months. I love you, chat. Almost 50, 49 months. Papiar, Aqua Rat, PJH Fehe. Is that how I say? Okay, is that who I think it is? Mystery Merson, E-Couch, and the Feta Cheese. Thank you, everybody, for your subs. And We should.
I'll go get one of the
good.
callers.
Mark is off to grab the first caller. Are you moved down to LA last year, right, LeTigress?
Yep, I moved down in September, so I've now been here a year and have barely actually seen LA.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, it's not easy to go out too much these days, but hopefully you'll get to see more soon.
It's how I want it, though.
Our first caller is here. Is it Caper or Capper?
Caper.
Caper. Where are you calling from?
Los Angeles.
Los Angeles. Okay, another LA. We're all here together. What do you want to talk about on the show?
I think the community has been just way too toxic to players like Blue. I think he's received a lot of unwarranted hate just for being signed. I think he's showcased this weekend why we should try to be less judgmental and more supportive of new players coming to LCS. I think criticisms are completely fine, but we should be able to differentiate criticism from toxicity.
Yeah, I think that somebody should have done a blame game about nepotism and how much people should lean into nepotism and giving people a time to kind of prove themselves. I think that would have been a good idea. Just kidding. That was the first one. If you guys want to go back and look at what Mark was saying about Blue, it was mostly about LS, right, Mark? But you talked a little bit about Blue, right?
I used LS as the biggest example because it was the most public one, but I said the logic extends to all the other signings, all the other nepotistic signings, which was like Blue and Takoi as like people that end up under crosshairs, not just because like, oh, he was the 11th best mid in the LEC, 11th best laning stats people love talking about, but also because like the connections in the dig org. And so, yeah, all that stuff was like, well, why don't you just wait a month and then see? You cannot like, I think you can not like a signing and say why you think it's not going to work out and why you're suspicious and all this stuff. But it starts to take on like a more personal angle when people start working in the like, he only got that job because the Dignitas guy worked at wherever the hell before, you know?
Yeah. Coach in a previous team, I think, in the Turkish league. So do you want to expand a little bit at all on that caller, or do you want to just us to roll in on it?
I mean, yeah, just a little. I've noticed a lot on Reddit ever since the signing. A lot of people have just been saying Blue doesn't deserve it. There's so many people who deserve it, and they've been mainly focusing on Blue's lack of skill, almost flaming Blue like he shouldn't have accepted the job. You know, like it's his fault or something.
Yeah.
And I think they just should have waited and given him a chance.
Well, first off, if people are interested in Blue, I saw Peter on his stream this weekend was talking about how he thought that he's like, I really think that there should be some sort of story told about him. So I did an interview with him actually at the end of last year, talking about his time in the LEC, the issues that he felt he had that held him back, and like why he had really big goals for the LCS and how he ended up joining the team. And so I hope people can go find the time to take a look at it. But yeah, I mean, I always think it's really weird when people have such strong opinions so quickly, especially about a player going to like a bottom tier team. I think, you know, it's odd to me that Blue gets so much criticism on Dig when people are like really hyped and praising the TSM signings, for instance. Because I think maybe you could say, well, Blue had this year in LEC and he didn't look that good during his time there, and so like these other two players are like less known quantities or whatever. But I do wonder if like Shenhe, oh god,
you made fun of me for doing it.
It finally happened. Let's go with K-Duo. Is that how you pronounce K-Duo?
I believe so.
Okay.
I was told that it was, and this was from someone else on the broadcast team, but I don't think it's been official yet. It's like K-I-Duo.
K-I-Duo? Okay.
Yeah.
We're going to figure
that out. These are the names
out.
I will say and repeat probably 50 times or so before I ever have to say it live.
You know what I was talking to Raz about it, I think, and it's an ice cream brand in China. But no one knows that. And so I was like, oh shit, I'm going to call him Bing Chilling because that John Cena video that's going around. And then I was told not to do that, so I'm not going to. But I'm pretty sure Ki Duo is a Chinese ice cream brand. I could be wrong, but I remember call him KD. I like KD.
KD's pretty good. KD is pretty good. Okay. I wonder what would have happened if KD or I don't know any player like that ended up on Dignitas instead. I think sometimes there's a big push to like harp on players ahead of time without us really seeing them in the league. And I think on one of these bottom tier teams, it's also like, sure, be more experimental, try different stuff. You know, I think Mark, in your blame game video, you were like, yeah, I will be very critical if this doesn't work out, but I will also be, you know, you're actually giving them a chance to kind of see how this stuff works, which I think is smart. I don't know, Tigress or Mark, if either of you guys want to chime in here.
Yeah, I just feel like sometimes it's that exaggerated level of the negativity that tends to snowball, because there's a difference between wanting to have a passionate take based on what you believe the outcome to be. Hey, I didn't like what I saw from this player last year. I like this team. You know, I am passionate about, like, I don't think this is the right choice, and the ability to kind of make those hot takes. But it is another when it kind of just feels like everyone piling on for the sake of the enjoyment of piling on. And I just remember thinking with Blue specifically in watching your interview where he talks about his experience and how he's had to, you know, learn mentally, and he's used to getting flame, and maybe that's helped him grow in a way. But because of some of the difficulties and challenges he faced when he was on his team last year, and then he comes in, I thought, oh God, this kid can't catch a break. He was going through difficulties on the team there. Then he hurts his freaking fingernail as soon as he gets here before the first game. Always feels like he's got something else going on that he has to fight through. So, I mean, for me, it's props to him for being able to do that and prove everyone wrong by having these explosive moments off the bat. Because if he didn't have those explosive moments, then it would be hard for people to change their opinion, even if he performed okay, right? But then you get this, hey, this really exciting thing that happened with the Baron steal, and now we're going to forget about some of our other brash opinions. So I think there's just also a tendency for some to want to lean into and kind of snowball those emotional takes in a way that cannot always be constructive.
Yeah, I think it's a very fair point. I'm curious to see if people will like learn from this, or if they will just have the same reaction again in the future. I think I have an idea. Mark, anything that you didn't already mention in your blame game about this stuff?
Not really. I think like I put out a tweet with a clown emoji, like taking someone's Reddit comment that was flaming him after a loss on Friday, I think it was, and then, you know, on Saturday they go ahead and beat them. I don't know. I feel like it's gonna oscillate too. You know, like, yeah, he looked great here. They took down 100 Thieves. It's a really good feel-good moment. Like Gabby said, it's like an opportunity to start reversing this narrative. But whenever there's a person who's controversial in the community, like, Blue's gonna lose some games in the regular season, and those people are gonna be like, look at everyone who overreacted at the 100 Thieves thing. Like, he was actually fucking good. And like, honestly, he's probably going to be, my take is like, he's going to be like the 6th or 7th best mid, maybe 5th through 7th is what I'd say most likely. He's going to have some good games and some bad games. And every single time, the other people are going to come out of the woodwork and act like the other group is a fucking idiot. And I'm going to ride the line on both sides and just enjoy it.
Let me extend the take a little bit further, Mark, too. So Bottle in the chat, I think that's how you pronounce it, says, I don't know, man. Blue didn't get much of anything done in Dig's win. He's fine, but definitely not worth an import slot IMO. One, did he not get much of anything done in Dig's win? And two, well, I want to follow up with the import slot stuff in a second, but let's start with that.
Game one, I think you could make the argument that like it felt like it was decided more by River and Neo. Even the ganks mid, Abba and him both died like 3 times in laning phase through ganks. Maybe it was 2 or 3 times. And then in team fights again, it was mostly Neo popping off and stuff. But in the second game, he actually did a lot of work on Zoe. He was actually, his Zoe's been really good both times he's played it. So I think he slight spoiler for the blame game. I actually said you could argue he gapped Abba that series.
Can I add something?
Yeah, go for it.
I read in an interview, I believe it was, that he only got here, I think, like less than a week or 2 ago. And he basically said that he has been taking up the leadership / shot calling role. So if that's true, I think that it is a huge advantage on their win, if that's the case.
No, it's true. I think the last thing I wanted to extend this to also was the idea of like he's not worth an import slot. And I feel like in the off season now you start hearing a lot of stuff like that about like, is this person worth an import slot, or you're wasting your import slot on this person? Obviously that was a thing back whenever Ryoma came over, and I think we've heard that phrase a lot, is like using an import slot on a player who people don't perceive to be top tier is bad. On my end, I think it's really difficult because if you are a team like Dig and you're going lower budget, it's like maybe it's I don't think people generally feel as though NA's mid pool is endless with talent. And so maybe bringing somebody over from another region who doesn't have a chance to play in LEC again, maybe, he didn't get any offers or something like that, you probably can get this player who might be better than a lot of the NA mid talent, and also not have to spend a ton like you would on perhaps other mid import players. So I feel like there's a very good chance that, like, one, even if your philosophy is every import should be extra scrutinized because are they worth that import slot where there's limited? I don't even know if I agree with that philosophy. I think it's kind of a weird philosophy in some ways. But and secondly, even in that world, he might be just from a value perspective whenever you compare him and his salary to other players. We don't know what he's getting paid, obviously, but one would assume Dig more budget-oriented player perhaps didn't have as many options in other major regions, so probably was able to come in at a lower rate. Yeah. I don't know if we have any other thoughts on this before we move on, but
we have a couple other takes on the 100 Thieves versus
Dig stuff
and Dig stuff, so like we don't need to go too much harder.
Okay, sounds good. Hey, Caper, thank you so much for the call. Anything you want to shout out before we move on?
I just want to shout out Team Liquid for purchasing Limit from WoW for the next Race to World First coming up. You guys should check that out. If
Liquid Guild. I will say one thing that is funny on this is I've noticed a trend, for those that don't know, so Team Liquid picked up a WoW, well, I should say MMO guild is the way they branded it. I don't know if that's because of recent events or not, but an MMO guild called Limit, they made a Liquid Guild, and then the person the guild leader is now a co-owner in Team Liquid. And I feel like 100T started this trend of just giving people equity as part of their coming on and then referring to them as co-owners. So I would like to officially announce that due to my retirement portfolio, I am a co-owner in Microsoft, Adobe, Amazon. I'm a co-owner in many major companies as well. Thank you, Caper, for the call, and we'll catch you next time.
Thank you.
There's no way that misfires like it did that one time, that one guy who had co-owner of an org in his bio. What was the controversy with him? It was like
he was making fun of a team. He had some sort of equity. He was like a graphics guy, and he was making fun of a player on one of the LEC teams, I think.
He was like a streamer, though. He wasn't just a graphics guy. There was someone who said like part owner. We might be thinking of different events.
Yeah, I thought it was the Mad Lions thing where it was like a graphics guy or something like that.
Was he a graphics guy?
Maybe he worked at like an agency that had done some graphics work. Okay, some people are saying he's a big streamer, so maybe I misinterpreted the situation. But yeah, I just think it's very, I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of the trend of just referencing everybody as co-owners whenever they're getting like.
Gabby is now co-owner of TGI. I am co-owner. Anyone who comes on air here is co-owner of TGI. So congratulations.
But either
way, a subscriber to both of your channels, am I co-owner now of it all?
Possibly.
I need to check my sub count, but you can say you own X% equity for like how many subs I have.
To be clear,
one over whatever.
Having a sub to my channel does not get you equity in Travis Gafford Industries.
It does,
okay, folks.
You're partially
Your name is Gabby.
I think everyone, you can put co-owner of TGI Industries in your Twitter bios if you
TGI, yeah, you can put TGI Industries in your title. Travis Gafford Industries. You can be a title.
Yeah.
We're not giving out equity
if I do that?
to anyone right now. Mods cannot get equity. No one's getting equity. Let's move on to the next caller.
Nothing's gonna happen. What's Travis gonna do? Get legal out? That's too expensive for him. He's a cheapskate.
It's true.
Send you an angry DM.
Bowsican, thank you for the sub. Anders gifted a sub, and Flares and Sally's are. Thank you everybody for the subs. Just a reminder, none of you are co-owners based off your sub.
Congratulations on your newfound investment. I hope that it treats you well. It is quite a good one.
I should just start putting like co-owner of Microsoft and all these things that I'm invested in. If I tell co-owner Nintendo. Look at my
stocks, and I'm just gonna list them all. But TGI is gonna be right there at the top.
I own some Nintendo stock. Sully is here. Sully, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Toronto, Canada again.
Toronto, Canada again. Welcome back to the show.
There's still snow everywhere. We still have like 6 feet of snow outside. It's great, but now it's like frozen with ice.
Jesus, were you on last episode?
I've only ever been there middle of winter, and it just gets so cold.
Were you on last episode?
Fun. I was the average LCS fan with the take right at the end.
And you mentioned the one that Giotto popped off on the.
Was your name Sully? But then did you change your
Discord?
Your Discord name?
No, it was still Sully. Yeah.
Huh? I don't know
you
why.
Go back and check the bot if you want.
You're banned. Get out of here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I'm trolling.
Okay. Okay. So my last week I came in with them. I asked them to sell me on the LCS broadcast because I hadn't had time to watch it in about a year since like the last lock-in tournament. And then they kind of sold me the other way and basically told me not to watch it.
Okay.
Because we're all snowed
when you say they, that was mostly me and Giotto. I don't think either of us told you not to watch it. We gave you reasons to watch it, and then we were frustrated that they had like we felt like the broadcast was like.
Mark, how could you let this happen?
No, this was a positive call, Sully. What do you stop inting?
It was a positive call. I would say it was overall positive. But anyway,
Mark's trying to recover his job.
This one's a
positive call.
At the end of last week,
10 seconds, Sully. You have 10
the show.
I came back because I actually watched the broadcast, and I actually disagree with the takes that were given to me last week about why the broadcast was bad.
Okay, hang on.
And so
let's take several steps back. Sorry.
Okay.
Let's take several steps back. So one. For those that did not listen last week, at the end of the show, Sully called in and said, I've not watched the LCS in a long time, and I don't feel like I have any reasons to watch Lock-In. And then Giotto, who was on, Andre, the coach for Team Liquid, listed many reasons and said it's about these smaller stories, and then he expressed frustration that those stories were not being told in the way he wanted them to be on broadcast. Mark, during this time, slowly sunk lower and lower into his chair because his days are already getting cut and he cannot afford to pay his rent if they get cut even more. And so I don't think
potentially, but
so I don't think that we were trying to convince you not to watch it. I think we were trying to give you, if your takeaway was I should not watch it based off what Andre and I were telling you, I think that's the wrong take. I think we were saying it was frustrating that we felt we had to give you these reasons because we felt like the broadcast had not done a great job of conveying them. So please, Sully.
That's an accurate summary. I was just oversimplifying.
So you feel like our reasons for why you should watch it were wrong?
I feel Giotto's reasons why I should watch it were right. But the reasons afterwards about like, you know, how it's not engaging enough or how like the average LCS player like maybe would be hard to like step into it because there's not enough content about the new players and stuff. I really felt like that wasn't true when I watched the LCS broadcast. I thought the desk, like the analyst desk, was like super engaging and like interesting for somebody who hadn't watched an LCS broadcast in like over a year. It was really great, especially the day with Mark Z. I thought that was the best day, even though like
what did Mark pay you to come back on the show? He did this whole thing. Mark did this whole bit at the beginning where he's like, "Oh, was your name Sully? I didn't even know who you were. Oh, dude, I forgot who you were."
Nothing that has left his mouth yet has anything to do with why I pulled him.
Okay. Sorry.
Yes,
continue.
No, it's not. Yeah. So I just really felt like it was really engaging. I really loved the LeTigress and Mark Z cast. That was awesome. And like the follow up on the broadcast the day after, where they like came in and congratulated LeTigress. That was really cool. That really made me want to watch more LCS, like stuff like that. So like things like that were happening, and just like the overall atmosphere of it was really cool. I would say though, like there were some cons that I noticed. If I want to be completely fair, there wasn't very much disagreement or riskiness with takes from anybody on the analyst desk. Like almost everybody agreed on everything. There's this really positive atmosphere, which was nice, and it made it really engaging, but also like they never really disagreed about anything, except for the day that Mark Z was there, which was the best day on the analyst desk because there was more interesting discussion about like what was going on. I mean, it was also the last day of the week, so there was more to talk about, I guess, about like, Dignitas's games and things. But yeah, anyway, I just wanted to say that. But Mark also wanted me to talk about
Mark wanted
I have
you
a
to.
take of
Sully is. I don't know if he's meaning to do this. If he's actually like, he had a second take that was about Dignitas as well. So I thought he was just gonna say.
I'm getting to that right now.
Okay,
Yeah, but
go
the way you
for it.
phrased
Let's get through
things,
this.
Thanks.
Mark wanted me to talk about Dig. You wanted to talk about
No.
Dig, and I said if we have time, depending on how long the first part takes, we can
Oh.
talk about Dig.
Okay. So should I talk about Dig now then?
You have my permission.
Okay. Thank you very much. So I think the reason, I mean, I haven't watched much LCS in a year, but I think the reason that Dignitas won is because they allowed Closer to pick Viego. And the reason I think that is because in both of those games, when Closer picked Viego, he basically ignored the bot lane and just farmed till 6. Which I understand, right? If you're playing Viego and Closer really, like, he's a great jungler. I really think that outplayed 100 Thieves. But I think because in draft, Jarvan went to Dignitas and Closer picked Viego, it just the way that the play went, their one strategy that we know always works with 100 Thieves, or at least from my brief experience of playing through bot lane, he didn't do that. And then Dignitas built on that and then built things to shut down the bottom lane and into their draft. And so it just really felt like the first game was more kind of they were feeling it out, and then the second game they applied it, and it just, like, I saw Viego in the second thing and I was like, well, I guess it's over. Because that's exactly what they did the first time. That's my humble take on that. But anyway, the broadcast's really great. If you want to comment on the Dignitas take, sure. But
So
yeah.
you to be clear, you blame Closer entirely for Dignitas's.
I think
Closer's
that they baited
Viego.
him into picking Viego.
You were one of the
because they
people
went
on
against their game plan.
Reddit who said that Closer got gapped this series. I saw there was a couple.
No, I
Reddit-
don't think that he played worse. I don't think that anybody on 100 Thieves got gapped. I think
Okay.
that the play style of Viego and the play style that 100 Thieves is successful on are contradictory, and Dignitas used that to their advantage.
Oh, okay. So they just went for a play style they're not comfortable with.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll let.
which I mean makes sense if you're playing a what is considered like maybe one of the worst teams in lock-in before they had their full roster, right? That you want to try something out, but then it didn't work at all.
Well, let's handle the Dig
Yeah.
Closer stuff since we're on that right now, and then.
Well, I was gonna say, I saw Gabby looking like she wanted to say something when I was looking at the cams. I don't know if you want to start it off.
Oh, yeah. I'm glad you enjoyed the broadcast. You said a lot of very nice things. Here on the Dig and Closer point. One, have you seen the GIF of Closer with the crown and how good he is on the Viego in times of past?
Yeah, no, I don't disagree that he's good on Viego. He's very good on Viego.
I think, yeah. So I think he's a very strong Viego where no team would really feel comfortable just giving the Viego. I would more think on the side of how you mentioned, the J4 going for River and how he performed on that pick. The most impressive thing for Dig, I think, was the fact that River came in such a short amount of time, and it felt like they were very coordinated in their play. And they had him on a pick like J4 that does have, hey, here's my clear go button. It's going to be very in line with them wanting to follow what he wants to do. And I think that's more of a strength. If we're talking about like the jungle matchup there, I would more lean towards what like River was doing well and what Dig was doing to play around that to make sure that they could execute in the way that they could, as opposed to Closer not being a threat on the Viego. Because dude's a monster on Viego if you look at a lot of his past play.
But what if Closer had J4? Would those games have gone differently? Like, you just think to the other game of that weekend where he was playing J4 against Cloud9, right? The opposite happened where he just ganked bot lane repeatedly and they smashed them.
I mean, I don't think so. My 2 cents is that the Viego wasn't really the problem. I think I agree in some sense about game 1. I think you could say that. I mean, some of the terminology I don't agree with, but like the idea that they got baited into taking it over what I thought they should have taken in Lux, and then they had to take Lulu later because the Lux got banned, and that decreased their pushing potential a lot and hurt the bot lane. That was more of an issue I had around like the bot lane draft than just because they took Viego. They couldn't really contest the wave, and FBI was just perma shoved in, and Dig could stack dragons, and a bunch of stuff happened that game. But Closer actually played game 1 really well, and in the blame game that I did about this, you'll see me talk about how much they traded blows back and forth, and I felt like more than anything, 100 Thieves vision control and warding just sucks. It's not good. They like River absolutely clowned on them with vision control over and over again. In terms of like paths that he took over walls, not going over walls, hugging them so that things that they thought had vision didn't. He did that like 3 or 4 times, as well as like fake them out. Like he would clear. One thing he did was so Gigabrain. He put his ward behind him for a safe EQ out while clearing a pink ward, which is something you often do on Jarvan. You throw your flag behind you so you can just Q as soon as you finish it and get out of there. So he clears a ward. There's a little bit of lingering vision. He Qs backwards as the lingering vision dies. So Abba thinks that he just cleared this ward and he's leaving. And then he just runs straight back mid and ganks Abadaga, who was like, oh, he's not clearing this. So I thought all that was really good. And then in the second game, they actually fucked him up when he tried to do this again. They didn't invade. He swept out one of the wards, didn't know there was a ward on Raptors. So after he finishes off Raptors, he tries to wrap back around through bot lane, and they see him do that. So Closer takes his blue buff and 3 buffs him, and then it's a map split situation. But because they have pressure with the Caitlyn, they push him out of the jungle, and then Closer comes down, and after the dive, they get punished for it and kill him. And like, that was a really great play, but then they just fucking fought over Rift Herald against, like, with no Gnar ults, no flash. Renekton's level 6. Caitlyn's on a bad buy because she was playing defense this game. Like, there were a lot of things that went really wrong. I don't think the Viego pick had anything to do with it. I think 100 Thieves vision control sucks, and a lot of their calls are bad. That's my take. I don't know why with a fat ass Gwen against a full armor Gragas, your Gwen is A-ramming for 5 minutes when you have a 3-item Gwen versus a 2.5-item Gragas, and it's all armor. Like, those calls are so bad. It doesn't, like, I don't blame Viego at all or Closer at all. He actually played really good, and that's what was my takeaway in the blame game was I don't think Closer got gapped at all this series.
And you're not just saying that because Closer's in the chat right now.
You can watch the entire VOD of my VOD review where I didn't have a single bad thing to really say about Closer, as well as the blame game where it's coming out. It's already recorded. But
Closer says, can't wait to play against Gigabrain River again.
I don't know if he's done the VOD review yet, man, but I'm telling you, River did some cool things. He did some smart shit. He killed your mid lane 3 times. What happened? I guess he forced flash once, then killed twice. That's what it was. He did some good shit. Have you ever seen?
A lot of people said it was impressive. I mean, Corjay was tweeting about it too. Like, I think it was just a nice opportunity for him to shine through in a lot of like that macro, like Mark's talking about. Which
here's what I will say to everybody getting excited about Dignitas. This has been like the entire time. I need to look back and see if they did it this last year too. But like, I would say in almost every year that Dignitas has competed in the LCS, they always have a great start. Everybody's like, wow, Dig is really good. They like take some really unexpected wins against top teams. At some point in time, they're always like up in the top 3, and everybody's like, oh my god, they're going like Dignitas is a real contender. And then suddenly they go on like a 8-game loss streak or something. So it's a decade of doing this stuff. Don't get excited.
I mean, even looking. Okay,
no, you take it.
Well, I was just thinking, it's so funny watching it play out because even if you look at last year and the way that they ebbed and flowed, you know, they bring in Dardoch, everyone is unified under the Dardoch vision, and it was all about, hey, you've got these young players that are willing to listen to him and grow with him and follow his call, and they had like a good streak from there, and then eventually things fell apart a little bit, and then, you know, there's chaos from that where they had some of the roster flipping, and then we saw like, you know, Neo and Fake God have moments where they didn't get to look as strong as they had in other points in time. And then now we see again, they get this jungler who knows how to facilitate, and he's coming in and has some clear plays, and then seeing how everyone can play around that, like Fake God having a bit more, you know, that confidence that we've seen in him in times past to like impact the team fights and stuff. and jungler on the same pick both times. Let's see what they can do if they like diversify style and stuff. So yeah, there's that opportunity for things to ebb and flow. And I think that's just something we're going to be in for the team. They're not going to look like that every single series, every single game. And it is about like, well, how do they capitalize upon those strengths that they're finding in the honeymoon phase when they kind of bring in these voices and try and bring that strength into the later portions of the season.
I would love to be proven wrong, but this team will collapse in the next like 3 or 4 months, and then everyone will talk about how bad it is.
I feel like what's going to happen is Dig is going to get rolled in the finals, or the semifinals, excuse me.
I was like, damn, they're making finals.
No, that was a misspoke. They're going to get rolled in the semis. People are going to think that means that 100 Thieves suck. 100 Thieves are going to improve. They're going to be in the hunt for like the title again and stuff. And Dig's going to be bottom half of the league, and that's what's going to happen.
People should go back.
We saw, but yeah, like I don't think they're going to go through and smash through the rest of this bracket,
People should go back and look at the interview I did with Huhi, where he was basically saying like, yeah, we've had a hard time. Like he listed a bunch of reasons why he felt like their head kind of wasn't in the game. This was after week 1. And he was like, but I think we're good now. And I actually wonder if perhaps they were not good now. And like they are continuing to just not be where they need to be from like a mental perspective or whatever. I don't know. I actually need to go back and look at that interview because it was from, I don't know, 10 or 12 days ago. But it's interesting how if you look at that now after the Dignitas stuff, I think it's probably going to raise some questions about what's going on within the team. All right, really quickly, Sully, on the broadcast note, I know we're kind of all over the place with this call, but Sully had at the beginning of this call a take about how the broadcast this weekend, he watched it, he thought it was pretty good. Can you tell me, Sully, any segments that you really liked? Because I was hopping back and forth between the co-stream or between co-streams and the main broadcast this weekend, and I continue to kind of feel frustrated that I feel like they haven't really told any of the great stories, or they're not harping as much on the stories this week. So what did you like, so I can go find those if I haven't seen them yet?
So I really liked first of all, I really liked the community engagement part that they do, where they
with
like
the tweets?
try to engage with the community with like quotes from players, quotes from past interviews, quotes from like people on Twitter to like what people are thinking about the game and then like react to it. I thought that was really interesting, because then it feels like there's a sort of community engagement between the broadcast and generally what league fans are thinking about what's going on. So I think that was a really cool segment that they do right off the top, because that kept me engaged right from the beginning. And on the second part that you mentioned, I think it was really cool that there was like continuity between the broadcast days, where like something that was discussed the day before would be like it was like the analysts had gone home, like reflected on what they had said the day before and came back and like added something. So like if you watched the broadcast the day before and came back, it was like the conversation was still ongoing. Like the talk about Dignitas beating 100 Thieves continued the next day at the start of the broadcast, because that's all everybody wanted to talk about, right? It was so surprising and interesting. And I think too, like I definitely didn't really get like the point of lock-in, but like something like 100 Thieves and Dignitas really like proves what it is, because 100 Thieves, like I don't think it was so much the story of like Dignitas like super outperforming 100 Thieves. I think they both played well, but I think 100 Thieves had these really like exploitable weaknesses that good play could make use of. And like the lock-in exposed that, which means that 100 Thieves will be better during the season because of the lock-in tournament, theoretically, right? That's what's supposed to happen, as they're supposed to grow from that, which I don't think anybody thought was going to happen with 100 Thieves. Kevin was like, oh, they're so good, they have all this synergy right off the bat. And then that was stuff they mentioned on the broadcast. So I thought like overall it was just like a really good like sum total of just engaging with the community, and like the broadcast felt like it was a continuous, like it was continually engaging all the way through. So yeah, I was really pleasantly surprised and impressed by what they were doing.
Well, high praise for the broadcast. Glad to hear you enjoyed it, Sully. I will say there were 2 parts on Friday that I thought were really good. Both times was when they were airing clips of Hotline League. I thought those were incredible. Thought that was fantastic. Sully, thanks so much for calling in. Anything you want to shout out before we take a quick break?
Sure. I hope they do more LeTigress Marksy cast, because that was really entertaining. I'm really not shilling for Marksy. I thought it was really good. and I really like that day of the broadcast. So yeah, shout out to Mark C for being a good analyst. I hope he gets more time on the broadcast.
Very good. Well,
That's
thank
it.
you again for the call, and we'll catch you next time. All right, we are ready for a quick break to talk about Alienware. We love Alienware so much. I am now using, I think I mentioned this last week, but I'm now using the new R13. Let me just read off the specs on this really quickly for the folks that are into specs on computers. This has a 12th gen Intel Core i9 12900KF processor, 128 gigs of RAM, a 3090 NVIDIA card, and a 2 terabyte NVMe SSD, which has been just a joy and a pleasure to have in this machine. And I really appreciate Alienware hooking me up with such an awesome rig. People in the chat are going crazy. Yeah, exactly. Well, part of it is I like to have the 3090 because I have their 55-inch gaming monitor, 4K gaming monitor, and having the 3090 to power it has been fantastic. But anyway, all these products, if you like what you're hearing, if you think that sounds like a great rig, guess what? You can get your own. And by the way, maybe you need less RAM because maybe you're doing less video editing or you're less extra, or maybe you want to do high refresh 1080p gaming. That's probably not a thing where you maybe necessarily need a 3090. So please head over to alienware.com/Travis and check them out. They're fantastic products. We love to see everything that they are coming out with. And they've got some cool stuff that they announced at CES. I've talked about it a little bit in the previous episodes, but if you guys want to go take a search for it, you can learn about their products. And again, thank you so much to Alienware for sponsoring everything we do here at Travis Gafford Industries. It's fantastic to have them as a partner. And if you're watching on YouTube, please click the link in the description. Heading over to their stuff is great for us. Thank you again to Alienware for sponsoring the show. All right. Mark is off grabbing the next caller. Thank you to... Where were we? Cherry Lace. Wow, Cherry, you've been sub for a long time. Lift Manjaro for a whole year. Einscrub Vaults, Taco Bowls, I Am Elvis, and Cyber Ghost, I think is how you say it. Is that how you say it? There's an X there. Sometimes it's just one of the fun games I like to play on the show is, can I pronounce everything correctly? Ender is in the chat. Hello, Ender. Ender says, they haven't invited me. Are you talking about... Oh, you're talking about the broadcast, not Hotline League, right? Is that what you're talking about? Because I feel like we've invited you on Hotline League. Yeah, you guys are all now also co-owners in Dell. That's a great... That's how it works.
Man, my portfolio expanded so large today.
Yes.
Just by engaging in this content,
Mark has pulled 2 people onto the show. Is this another battle?
I'm crazy. No, it's not a battle. It's a funeral service for Chemtech Dragon.
Okay.
Oh, rest in peps.
Big Angry Hobo. First up, let's start with you. Where are you calling from?
Akron, Ohio.
Akron, Ohio.
Oh, I used to go there sometimes.
Really?
And it was also cold. Yeah.
Yeah.
It often had speech tournaments when I competed in college, so I would have to go there once again in the winter.
Yeah, we just got 18 inches of snow, and I've just kind of stayed inside a lot.
No one
Good
should
choice.
ever have to go to Ohio in the winter. Moghal is here as well. Moghal, where are you calling from?
Dallas, Texas.
Dallas, Texas.
Oh, I used to live by there. All these people are from places that are.
This is where we learned that LeTigress has just moved around the US.
I went to 3 different middle schools, over 10 places by the time I graduated high school. So yeah, there's a high likely chance.
How many states have you lived in?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 2 countries, and I think 7 states, and then a lot of different cities and stuff in Florida, and like almost every city in Broward County, Florida.
Jesus. Okay, well, we're gonna dive into that another day. Let's start off. So Mark, how do you want? Or is there an overall topic, or do I ask both of them their take?
Well, so I guess we should start with Moghal because he was just talking about Chemtech Dragon, and Big Angry Hobo had a little bit more about preseason as a whole. So I guess maybe start with Moghal.
I think it's Moghal, right?
Moghal.
Moghal.
It's Moghal.
Moghal,
Mog all
thank
to
you.
me.
Yes, that's what I thought. Moghal, what is your take?
Essentially, fuck Chemtech Drink and fuck Chemtech Rift specifically.
Okay.
That Rift, oh my god. It has caused me so much anxiety as a support player, not only because I get flamed out of the wazoo, because everyone's like, buy more control words, buy more. I can't cover every fucking Rift. Like, I can't cover the entire fucking Rift in control words. So, that Rift,
the ward
it's
item,
so
bro.
infuriating me.
You're going to cost me so much money when this video gets demonetized. Okay. This is the most expensive call I've ever had.
It's fine. I demonetize myself usually. I'm sure.
Great. Thank you. Anyway, Big Angry, please sub everybody. Big Angry Hobo, what do you want to talk about?
So I can like agree with the sentiment. I think Chemtech Drake was a mistake overall. I think everything about it was just kind of unbalanced and not very fun. But with it being removed, I just think this is the worst preseason League of Legends has ever had. Because now we got one Drake, which is whatever. It's kind of cool. You get just a slow, and then you have objective bounties, which are trash. I hate objective bounties. I still haven't come around to them. It's basically if you're losing, it's just get a turret or like win a half a team fight, or split pusher gets 3 towers, and then like now you're not losing anymore, and it's not as like there's no. I don't think that's balanced either. And then you got like 2.5 new items, and they changed a rune. Like this is the least changed preseason. There's like almost nothing to it. I feel like the excitement of all these new changes that are going to come, especially. Are you okay?
Yeah, keep going. Sorry.
Especially
he
as a
just makes
jungle
those
main,
noises sometimes. You just have to keep powering through.
Especially as a jungle main where I had to learn my role like every other year in the past. Like it just feels so weird where like it's still all the same. Nothing really changed. They added a Drake that was so bad they had to remove it like right when the season started. I just think this preseason was really, really bad, and I think they focused too much on their other stuff that they were trying to throw out, like Wild Rift, Arcane, and all these other things. Now, granted, those were great, but I feel like the game itself got left behind to push all those other the other stuff that Riot was doing.
Well, to be
Out
clear,
of curiosity.
No,
Go ahead.
Travis. Before you say that, I fully agree that the people who designed Chemtech Rift, they were too busy animating Arcane to get the designers.
Yes,
from
I get the joke. I know they're not the same people. I'm saying Riot's marketing and like it feels like they put more money into the other stuff.
I mean, that's not really.
Gabby, what were you gonna say?
Yeah, that's
I was
not
just
really how it
wondering-
works. Go ahead, Gabby.
Did you like having to relearn jungle every year? I'm just
Personally, yeah, I thought that was really fun. Like because like it changed it up. So for back in like seasons 3 and 4, there weren't even like jungle items or whatever. I mean, there were jungle items, but then you would buy when there was the claw and all those other ones. Those were really cool, and like it was fun that they would like, oh, now those are being removed, and you can buy like these jungle items. Oh, now the different camps give you different buffs and stuff. Like I thought that stuff was really cool because it kept. That's probably why I played so long, because what I did kept changing and it kept me engaged. I kept enjoying it, and so stuff like that I think is really cool. And now that it's the exact same game for the 3rd year in a row, I'm just starting to get bored.
I
Is it
mean,
the
not
exact same
gonna
game?
lie. When the announcement came out, I was like, danced on the grave a little bit of Chemtech, and then was like, oh man, does that mean our preseason really is just one new Drake and a few items? Like I did have that thought, after like, oh well, I guess it's too late to add anything else. So
Moghal, what
Yeah.
do you think of this preseason patch? Besides the Chemtech frustrations, which I know you fucking hate.
I missed. I think you
Moghal?
cut out for me.
Well, essentially, like in terms of like the preseason in general, it's weird because honestly, the amount of change that the game is going through isn't like the engagement part. I completely agree with, but at the same time, like as a casual League player, I enjoyed having like a solid couple of years where the meta has been stable, so I could actually improve my play because I don't play that much, honestly. And the more time that it kind of stays the same, the better I can get. So, honestly, I didn't mind the preseason changes not being that bad. I just hated the Rift changes. Honestly, the Drake wasn't even that bad, or the Soul wasn't even that bad, because if you lose Soul, if you get to the point where you're losing Sully, you deserve to lose the game, in my opinion. But the Rift itself was just so bad.
I'll chime in and say I think the team has to balance between the casual players like yourself, Moghal, who just chime in every now and then, and people who grind it and want new things to do. And I always feel like it's probably a little better to lean on your hardcore player base as the ones who are going to be more engaged, you're going to be more vocal and all these things. And now you're down to 1 in every 5 games feeling a little different instead of 1 out of every 3 with 2 new dragons out of 6, you know? So that combined with the items and only objective bounties, it is really low. But I have to say, the like identity of Chemdrake on a design level was a bit of a fucking disaster anyways. Like there's no cohesion between the rifts at all. Like what it did, you know, like you get cut down stacking stuff for killing the dragon, which isn't helpful for tanks and only helps in certain like very limited situations. And then you get smog on the rift, which camouflages you. I don't know what that has to do with cutting down. I guess assassins killing stuff quickly, maybe. But then you get zombie form, which again, I don't really understand how this ties into cutting down. There's no thematic through line with anything with Chemtech Dragon other than like green shit or something. I don't know. Whereas like Hextech Dragon, you could argue it's all about speeding up or slowing down. So you get a faster attack speed, you get ability haste, you get to move around the map faster with the hex gates, you get to slow your opponent down. Like the idea behind Chemtech Dragon just sucked from the ground up. Like none of it made any sense thematically. I hated it.
A little bit of a get fucked scrub if your comp didn't like it.
Yeah. I mean, and there's always ones that comps are going to prefer, you know, but like, I just mean on a thematic design level, I don't really understand what's going for. It's like Infernal Dragons, damage. You can argue the Rift is a little weird where it's just like an open hole, I guess, you know, and like Mountain is defense and Wind is speed and Ocean is healing. And I guess like the extra Rift stuff, like water makes more things grow, Mountain, like there's at least some theming there. But it's all of them have like a little bit of disconnect in their theming, but the Chemtech one was just like nothing connected in any way. So I'm not surprised, on top of the fact that it felt bad, that they killed it, because the camouflage part just also sucked to play. Moghal, I feel your pain hearing how raw that was.
Yeah.
I agree that I hated it with Moghal though. It's very bad.
So a couple of things I want to point out. One, Chemtech Drake is going to come back. Like they've basically said that they are taking it offline while they figure out a way to like actually meet the goals that they had, which I guess one of the goals seemingly was not create something that everyone hates. And so it's not as though like there will only be one Drake. I'm just curious to see how long it takes for them to like rejigger what stuff is going to be. It sounds like they're mostly they feel as though the biggest issue with it were the map changes that people seem to have the biggest problems with. The second thing is like it's very interesting to me because I think this also kind of points at and sparks at the conversation, especially BigAngryHobo, about what you were saying with like, oh, there weren't enough changes. And it reminded me of, it's a long time ago, it's like over 4 years ago now that this video came out, but Peter did a video essay a long time ago called The Problem with League, where he was talking about how much the game gets changed and how frequently it gets changed and the effects it has on pro play and all that stuff. Now, to be fair, I think he was talking more about it within like a 2-week period, but he even mentioned something like this during, I think today he tweeted something along the lines of that he was appreciative that they did this, and also, props to Riot listening to the community pro scene and removing Chemtech Drake. I think they have the thankless task of trying to balance the game while keeping things fresh and new, and they acted quickly on this one. So I just think it's like this constant battle and balance on like how much can you change the game while not pushing people away from it, because like I think what Moghal, you were saying, like I don't play a ton, you don't necessarily want there to be a bajillion changes all the time that keep you going. But BigAngryHobo, it sounds like you would like the game to feel fresh and new very frequently, and you guys probably have different definitions of like what that looks like for both of you based on how much you play and how much you're paying attention and how much you want to like relearn stuff that has changed. So I think it's just
to
like
follow up on that. It's also pro is really fun. Like the preseason is really cool to like contemplate. oh, what is this going to do to pro play? Like this season, it was like, oh, how's the teleport change going to change things? That's the only thing I was interested in. Like, usually I'm really excited to see what pro is going to do, but it was like this season, oh, teleport change and there's a new item. Like that was the only thing I was excited for.
The teleport change, I forgot to say, that is one of the changes. Top lane sucks so bad now that a non-negligible portion of players are taking Smite, Janna, Roam, top, and you don't even lane. I was watching Lorlo stream it. Freak told me that, and this is outdated data now, but at the time, that it had been 7,500 games in Gold Plus and had a 55% win rate. So
I had that in my game earlier today.
Wow.
Yeah, so get ready for that to come to a pro game near you soon, I think.
Is top lane really bad now?
Everyone hates top lane.
Oh.
Do you think, is there a world where they revert the teleport stuff too?
I don't know.
Maybe make it 10 minutes? I don't know. Right, that's just speculation, but I guess that was my other side of it. It's just the pro play, nothing changes, and I guess everyone hates that lane now too. Oh god.
Yeah.
It is hard to balance though, like how much you change to keep people engaged that are hardcore, and how much you keep the same for that consistency for the casual player. There's like some of my friends that I'm playing with now are people that are getting either back into League or starting League and trying to introduce it to them, and even going over the fundamentals, but then realizing, oh, there's been like a lot to change over time when you're trying to communicate that to new players. But yeah, I don't know. Stuff.
Yeah. I think also, like, people who say it changes too much, their reasons differ. Like, Doublelift's reasons that the game changes too much is not preseason related. Yeah. It's like mid-season when they have the big mid-season patch. It's before Worlds. It's during playoffs. They'll just, like, change a meta. You know,
that was the big thing about MSI last year, I feel like.
Yeah. So, like, that's, I think, what spurred Doublelift more was, like, it's not that there's big changes once a year. It's that the changes are constant. And sometimes they're not that insignificant at critical points of the year for pro teams. So like I think that is different from the casual perspective, which is just like, I haven't played in 3 months. What the fuck is going on since the last time I played, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's really funny when a friend of mine joined me who hasn't played in 2 years and didn't know what any of the items did.
Exactly.
Is there anything that you guys would like to, like, I don't know if anybody wants to throw out from the four of you, now that we have a Chemtech panel going on right now on the show. Any changes that you guys would like to see that could bring Chemtech back and you guys would be happy? Because they've said that it's going to come back. So, like, are there just specific tweaks they need to make? Is it really just a thing where you guys are like, anything that looks like this is going to be a terrible decision?
My 2 cents would be anything involving camo/invisibility is going to be pretty poorly received by the community. Vision changes are just things that people don't like in general. It's really obnoxious. And the only other thing I'd say is, like, please just get a little bit more design cohesion in there. Like, even on the cut down mechanics, listen to this. This is something I didn't get to talk about ever on my cast, but I kept wanting to bring it up. The cutoff point for when the cut down from the Drake buff kicked in started at 340 and scaled up to 1080, higher than your current HP, and it would scale up. And basically, by the time you took the first Drake, usually around like when people were getting to like level 4 to 6 to 8, you know, like you're around 500 health that they need to be higher than, and it works on monsters and stuff. But then the Chem Fog kicks in at the same, it doesn't kick in. It has the same breakpoints, but it scales from 0% up to the percent that it kicks in at the same values. So one scales from 0 to that value when it's at max, and one doesn't turn on, and then it's always max at that value. Like, they have competing mechanics going on within the same kit of like what it is. Like, just make them the same. Like, why are you confusing the shit out of everyone with like one scales and one doesn't scale and one just turns on at the same value? Like, there's a lot of these kinds of things that I had problems with this design. It was a nightmare.
One thing that I thought was
sorry. To clarify, the fog had the scaling ramping damage boost up to the threshold, whereas the buff just went on at that value. Sorry.
Oh no, I think the soul is I fine. Like, I think they've balanced it to where it's no longer awful. I don't think it's good. I think something they could have done, which would have made more sense even thematically, just based on like seeing what it does, is like make it like a damage over time or something. Like, make that be what you get for each soul or each dragon, and like try to make it around that, because like the fog and Chemtech and all of that already like poisons and messes with people like in Arcane, and it turns them into weird things. So like you can continue like it's almost like a poison, like make it do damage over time, like similar to like plasmids in BioShock, if anyone's played that. Like it looks like it's going into them to force them to have something else. So like make it do damage over time, and that would feel. I don't know what they can do for the Rift itself, because there's the 4 elements. I don't know what else you can do, because that's going to be the hard part for the design.
Here's how we combine our ideas, Big Angry Hobo. The Chemtech Dragon has smog, and just like real pollution, you take damage over time every second you're on the Rift.
There we go.
From inhaling it.
If you get the soul, your entire team just gets Karthus ult, and the game just ends.
The river starts to rise more and more as the climate change occurs on the Rift. All right. Anyway,
I think we kicked this topic officially.
Yes, exactly. Thank you, Moghal and Big Angry Hobo. Let's start. Big Angry Hobo, what do you want to shout out?
I want to shout out everyone's Amazon Primes in the chat. Make sure you go over to Mark Z's channel and use them over there.
Oh my god!
I'm kidding.
Okay, what else?
I'm kidding. Use them. I've been subbed here for 44 months, Travis. Use them here. Use them here. And then obviously Alienware, Game Fuel, and I think I saw Grubhub on there as well.
Grubhub, yes.
So yeah, absolutely. Give all of our use code Travis at Game Fuel. It's really good.
Thank you so much. Moghal, how about you?
Game Fuel.
Shout out to Mark and Gabby. Y'all had one of the most fun casts I've watched in a while, honestly.
Hey,
y'all killed it, in my opinion. And Gabby, that was a really good first cast. So, props. Hope you get better from here.
Thank you. Much love. Much love.
Thank you so much for the call, guys, and we'll catch you next time.
I'm so awkward. I don't know what to do when people say the nice things.
Yeah. I just say thank you, generally speaking. That's my strategy, and it's worked out for me over time. Mark, what were you going to say? You had some reaction. Mark? Oh, he left. Thank you to John G365 for the 23 months. Narrow Bridge for the 3 years. That's awesome. Thank you, guys. There seems like I had something else some other joke I was going to make. Hey, LeTigress, you did high-res stuff previously, right?
I did. So, like, I started in League Challenger scene stuff.
Okay.
And then I eventually went through an opportunity, went to high-res, and mostly covered Paladins while I was there, and then did some Smite.
I was going to make a Smite joke, but then I didn't. I was trying to remember if I had incorrectly remembered your past work, so
I was involved, but it's funny because everyone, they're like, oh yeah, I remember you from the Smite and like casting Smite, and I was thinking about it and I was like, I don't think I ever actually casted Smite Pro League. I did a show called The Caster and casted over VODs and stuff, and then like through that, and then I mostly did Paladins, and I did some stuff like for Smite content, but then I have like a pack in there, like announcer pack thing, so I was like, oh, that's probably what kind of like adds some of the confusion too. So
yeah. All right. Well, either way, our next caller is here. Gazzolith, where are you calling from?
I am calling from.
You are very quiet.
Chicago, Illinois.
Can you get a little closer to your microphone?
I'm like eating it right now.
Yeah, this is good. This is good. Keep eating it. Sorry, repeat one more time.
The suburbs of Chicago, Illinois.
I lived in Illinois.
Okay. Gabby, you can't just claim that you've been at a certain point.
I did. I went to grad school there.
I believe you, but I'm just saying.
Please,
okay.
I'm eating some Lou Malnati's right now. It's great.
Great. Gaz, what do you want to talk about on the show? Gaz, what do you want to talk about on the show?
I want to talk about. So I had 2 takes. The first one was that Fudge is scaling up to become, or he will be the best mid in LCS by the end of spring. He's got a solid starting point, and he's looked good in his first couple weeks. And I think he's going to follow a similar trajectory to when he was in top lane last year and scaled up to become the best top laner in LCS, debatable with Alfari. And then my second one was that C9 should definitely not be starting this roster for spring split.
Which did you pull him for, Mark, or did you pull him for both because they're C9 takes?
I pull him for both because it depends on how contentious the first one is. Because I could easily see that being one where we all just kind of agree and like,
yeah, I
hey,
mean,
he looks good.
I mean, I think it's a pretty. I think it's pretty bold to say he's just going to be flat the best. Like there's got to be a lot of Bjergsen out there. If that's the case, Abe I think hasn't looked great in lock-in, but maybe he I think it's just pretty big to say. But I would agree that he's going to become a top mid laner. It seems like he's adapting pretty well, and I don't know.
Travis, make your all-pro ballot right now.
My all-pro
And
ballot?
you too, Gabby. Yeah, we're all doing all-pro ballots right
15,
now.
Isn't that 15 players? Or no, you're just
the
talking
mids.
Mid?
Just the mids.
For spring or for summer?
Right now.
Like how I would vote everybody based off 2 weeks of lock-in?
Use the data right now to predict your spring lock-in one.
Spring lock-in.
No, just spring, not lock-in. Sorry. Use lock-in to project your spring.
We're not even done with lock-in.
You want me to lock in my spring playoffs all-pro team?
Some of these teams have played 4 games.
Aren't there mid laners that
Perfect.
have not even played in the league yet?
Yes.
Yes.
Wait,
Okay.
are all the mid?
Why don't I just make this a
Hydros-
prediction? I'm just going to predict the top 3.
Okay,
For-
fine, whatever. Predict your
spring.
top 3 all-pro, yeah. For spring.
I will say Abadage, Jojopyun. I don't know. And no, do I have to give the order?
Yes, this is your order. You
Order
just put
two?
Abba as your first team all-pro.
Oh God, I don't think there's gonna be a clear for spring clear mid laner number 1.
Okay.
It's just so tough. I think in the first and second slot we'll have either Abadage or Jojopyun, and then we will have Bjergsen as number 3.
Wow. All right. Gabby.
I don't know what the order would be, but I feel like the trend of the year, if you were to like project some things, that people are going to be super hype on Jojo and they're going to want him up there. I feel like if Fudge keeps doing well, people clearly like want to see him like continue to grow and succeed, and they'll want to put him up there. And then Bjergsen, they're like, all right, you playing like how you used to some degree. We want to see you up there. So in terms of like how voting goes, I feel like those 3 like might hover.
Because the secret thing that people don't really spend enough time thinking about when they think about this stuff is like, it's really hard. You're gonna look amazing if you have an amazing team around you, and so that's part of the reason why like, I think depending on when TL can run their full roster, Bjerg should be able to be in there pretty easily. Then Abe's had a ton of good success. Obviously with Hunter T, and I think that they can recover from this, and then EG seems like a pretty safe bet too. So I think like what could hold Fudge back is like C9 like not having their full roster and having to get their shit figured out over the next, because it's only 6 weeks.
Some people think a story.
People forget it's only 6 weeks. So yeah.
I mean, they keep saying that the roster is going to be there.
Ablaze Olive slander. What is going on?
Who we thought was going to be like maybe in that. I wasn't saying like what I think it's going to be, what my votes would be. I'm telling you that based on like story and the way the teams are performing around him, those are like going to be ones that people are like, oh yeah. Based on lock-in, we haven't seen Ablaze Olive. How can you ask us to put him in the top when you're saying to base it on lock-in when he hasn't?
I don't need to see him to
he
know
literally
that Ablaze
wouldn't be
Olive.
on the ballot though, because he hasn't played a game.
Peter knows what's up. Jojo, Ablaze, Palafox, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, I don't think that. I think what held Ablaze back in summer was the rest of his team. Like, and I think that Golden Guardians is not going to be a top. I think it's really hard to get on that ballot if you're not a top 5 team.
I think it's hard to get on that ballot when you haven't played a game, Mark.
Yeah, I'm just ignoring.
I know
Mark's
that was my bad on the. Also, I'm mostly memeing with the Ablaze Olive stuff. I feel like the points you guys made about how people look at best team and how they vote and stuff matters a lot. I feel like there's 4 candidates, like you guys said, between Bjerg, Jojo, Abba. Was that maybe it?
Is Fudge up there for you,
Can
Mark?
Fudge?
That would be 4.
No, not right now. He's been okay, but I feel like he didn't
But
have
that's still like I feel like if you're looking at where like if you're investing in the idea that he started okay and he'll continue to improve if he makes any like improvement and C9 does well on any level, people will be like, yeah, Fudge, want to vote for Fudge.
Yeah, I
You
just
know.
mean, yeah, so far he hasn't. I wouldn't put him in the top 3 mids based off this tournament.
Correct. I don't think he would either. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure he also ranked himself like middle of the pack.
Yeah. Abo's probably not top 3 based off this tournament either. Bjergsen, Jojo, and then like what? Is it blue, honestly? Is it Fudge or blue? Twitch chat, who's your third? Assuming Bjerg and Jojo is on everyone's list. Travis, do a Twitch poll.
Okay.
For lock-in, who's your third? Is it Abba or Fudge or Palafox or other? I don't know. I think Peter can only say NA mid names.
And you're saying Jojo
Ryoma?
and Bjerg are already up. Sorry, I have Abba, Fudge, Palafox, and other. You're saying Jojo and Bjerg are already in it?
I would say Fudge, Abba, and then Field, like other, like everyone else.
Okay.
And Bjerg and Jojo are already taken care of. So aside from Jojo, Bjerg, who's the third on the All-Pro ballot?
Okay.
God damn it! Twitch chat is all over the place.
Yeah.
Wei
Okay.
Zhao,
The
Blippo,
poll
Faker.
is out. The poll is out. Also, I should say we have what is it? What is your title, Dominic? VP of competitive at TSM? I need to look it up. VP of esports at TSM is in the chat, and he's upset that we're not saying KD is going to be up there.
Well, he didn't play.
And not on the ballot.
Yeah. I gave very bad.
If you want to get your players on this ballot, you should also get them a visa. That is my suggestion to you, Dominic. I feel like that's a good strategy. Okay, the survey is looking
overwhelmingly other.
Yeah. People are not on board.
Mid beast, humanoid. Thanks, guys.
It's almost like forming cohesive opinions on the performance of the mid laners for an all-pro ballot after a handful of games is difficult.
Let's
Almost.
Okay, wait, what was the second? The second take was they should not stick with this roster, right, Gaz?
Yeah, they definitely should not. Like, it's been fun while it lasted, or while it lasts, I guess. You know, I think most C9 fans are kind of looking at next week as a bit of a loss. But Darshan is like, he's not looking too great. I don't like it when he plays action or whatever it's pronounced. Isles definitely still has some room to grow. Like, Sven has been around forever, and not that he's bad, but we kind of know what he is. So it's not exciting. Like, there's no real reason to start this roster, it feels like. It'd be better if you almost went with their rumored off-season roster they had for a while, where it was Fudge top and Copy mid, because at least then, like, what could Copy do? That's a bit exciting. Fudge is still awesome. That's kind of cool too. This way kind of feels like you're bringing in, old players who have been around for a while and still expecting success. Like, you're bringing in Darshan.
Okay, but
Mark. Go ahead, Mark.
I was gonna say, so it sounds like he's taking more narrative angle, like, oh, it's not cool to run Sven and Darshan again. But what if Summit and Berserker get here and they just shit the bed and C9 is 0-6?
I was going to ask both you guys. Okay, I'm going to ask Mark and Gabby this question.
I was here through, like, what was it, season 8, when they shit the bed with, like, Jensen and stuff like that. Like, they could still do cool stuff afterwards and turn it around. And if they shit the bed, then they shit the bed.
Let me ask Mark and Gabby. If LS comes over here and they finally put together their full lineup, Captain Planet players or whatever, and they're just losing every scrim, do you say, well, this new roster still needs time, we're not going to throw them into LCS where they're going to start losing immediately? Or do you just force them onto the stage and say, fucking go?
I think you just put them on stage. Because I mean, just I don't see what the point is of not putting them on stage. That they're going to get tilted. People get tilted in scrims too. That's the thing. Is like, yeah, you have a week of scrims. Like I've had weeks of scrims where our team fucking lost every single game. Everyone hates each other, and then you go on stage and you win. And everyone's like, "Huh, I guess we just had a bad week of scrims." Or they fucking hate each other. You go on stage and it's like also bad, and you still hate each other. But like, if you're getting shit on in scrims, you're getting shit on in scrim. It don't feel good.
Gabby?
I feel like you wouldn't make the rash decisions based just on scrims. You want to see the idea come through and actually perform on the stage. I also wouldn't be surprised if we see individual switches throughout the year just based on the fact that in their content they seem to be explicit about wanting to base their paradigm on an individual improvement basis and trying to use that ecosystem to get everyone to improve for the team and for themselves. So, there might be weeks where they come in and, hey, so-and-so was performing really well in a lot of our internal practice, and we want to reward that and see how that works out in this context or something, right? But I don't think you would change your roster ideology just based on scrim performance.
I'm very curious. I don't feel like they have a ton of time to make those swaps. Like, I worry that because they're going to come in, there's only 6 weeks of spring. I wonder how long they would give themselves before they start making those types of swaps if they end up doing it. So we'll have to figure it out. Either way, Gaz, thank you so much for the call. Anything you want to shout out before we take a quick break?
Shout out to the actual greatest quarterback of all time, the one who took down the undefeated Patriots in multiple Super Bowls, Eli Manning, and also to Game Fuel because TGI is pretty cool.
Thank you so much, Gaz, for the call, and we'll catch you next time. All right. We are going to take a quick break right now to talk about our newest sponsor, which is Grubhub. Grubhub joined us. If you missed last week's episode, they are now sponsoring Hotline League throughout the whole year, as well as additional TGI content. And one of the cool perks that they have given myself, and I have generously shared this with TGI co-owner Mark Zimmerman, is a great deal. I'm just kidding. We're sharing it between the two of us. A great deal of Grubhub credit on a monthly basis. And so I have been enjoying this because they gave me my January allotment in the past, about within the last week or so. And I've ordered from, this is maybe not something I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 places in the past week. And among those things, I've had chicken tacos. I ordered from Met Her at a Bar, which is a great place in Los Angeles. I actually think they had it in the Grubhub commercial that Avli and I were in, and Peter was in last year. Ordered from Green Olive. I want to be vague about some of these places, so I don't allow you guys to triangulate my home over the next.
Travis is so paranoid about this.
I mean,
everyone knows where we live. Everyone knows where we live.
Nobody. What are you talking about?
They know we live in West LA because we all live around the LCS.
Yes,
a public place.
That's
Everyone knows where that is.
It's on Google.
The other day, I ordered from a delicious Chinese place. I had chicken dumpling pot stickers and fried wontons. It's amazing. So either way, thank you to Grubhub for hooking us up. There's a link below. Actually, I think we can do ! Grubhub in the chat. Do I have that Nightbot set up yet? If not, I have failed my first deliverable.
I'm looking forward to it too because Ashley and I like to do big cheat days, and so probably on Thursday we're just gonna order a shitload from Grubhub and just feast.
Oh, cheat days just give me so much joy.
Yeah,
they
Mark
are.
wants to
If you're
throw
on a
all
diet,
of his
they're
Grubhub credit for this month all at once.
Yes.
Anyway, thank you so much to Grubhub for sponsoring us. I will continue to just make everybody hungry on future episodes by talking about my food, and I guess we'll have to find out from Mark one of these weeks what he has ordered as his big feast on cheat day. But there's a link in the description if you're watching on YouTube to get some Grubhub stuff. And Mark, I haven't actually told you this, but they are, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, they're sending you and I, as well as some other cool people, something cool in the mail. I gave them your address recently, so.
So much for caring about addresses. Giving mine out
to our sponsor, who I trust. anybody
I did
would
one
like
of
to
those commercials, too.
sponsor Hotline League at the rate that Grubhub is, the rest of other stuff, you can have Mark and my addresses as well. Anyway, thank you so much, Grubhub, for sponsoring the show. We love you and welcome to the TGI world. And yeah, we'll talk more about them in the future. Mark, you want to grab the next caller?
Yes.
Thank you to Narrow Bridges for the 3 years, Cariel Alexander for the 4, and Ronan for the 7 months. Were you going to say something, Gabby?
I was just, see, now you got me thinking of food. And I was just thinking how happy I was when I did the Grubhub thing and they ordered so many empanadas and then I had it for like the whole week and it was glorious.
Yeah. No, I love getting food delivered. So Grubhub coming on as our sponsor has been fantastic. Franz is here. Franz, where are you calling from?
Hey, calling from Provo, Utah.
From Utah. Okay. Oh, Provo, Utah. I drove through there one time. I think that's where Brandon Sanderson had his like big.
Did you live there before, Gabby? Huh?
No, driven through there as well though, but that's it.
That's okay.
Franz, what do you want to talk about on the show?
Yeah, my take is that Jojopyun and Fudge would be less hyped by analysts in the community if players like Jensen, Perkz, Jiizuke, and Niski were still playing in North America. And I think basically the mid lane pool has been trimmed down significantly. And so there's a need for narrative of these up and coming rookies. And I'm a fan of Jojo and Fudge. I think they've been doing well. But I think that they are just like, I think there's a lot of hype around them that if they had to go through literally like 6 amazing mid laners, like they would have had to like last year, it would be a lot different.
This implies, I feel like, that you're saying they're overrated.
I feel like they're overhyped a little bit. And it's not to say that both of them could be the best mid laners, like by the end of this year, by the end of the split. But I think that like, I feel like everyone's expecting Jojo to be the best like right away, and I disagree.
Are people expecting Jojo to be the best right away? Other than fucking like Peter Dunn and Andrew Barton?
I feel like that's the boiled down take that's come out over time. But if for those that at least were like super into the academy and the development scene, there's a lot of hype about Jojo last year. I mean, the Smacks, for instance, one of the casters from that, his whole thing was like, I am the EG Academy #1 fan because they play this way. And they actually had like a lot of exciting stuff around them. So I think there would have already been a crew, at least from maybe like a lot of the endemic, very like deep community. Maybe it's not that, it's a carve out, like not everyone tracks that scene as well. But I think there would have been people and an overall desire from at least myself, and I'm sure other people on the broadcast and stuff too, to hype up young and upcoming players alongside some of the greats. So yeah, there would be time spent on the Jensens and stuff too, but I think there'd at least be some that would be like, yeah, I want to talk about this kid.
What's interesting to me is I felt like this took a very different turn. I thought it was going to be like, oh, because there's more space in conversation now, because we're not talking about Jensen and Jiizuke and these other guys. Now people lower down the totem pole in terms of brands would get more time on the broadcast. And I thought that was going to be taken in a positive light, but somehow France has warped this into a negative take that these players are now overrated. And I'm talking about Ryoma and I'm talking about Takui and Blue. I feel like that, like Jojo aside, like what about those guys? Do you think they're overhyped too?
I honestly haven't. I mean, like Blue, I don't think you can say he's overhyped. He's been getting shit on like repeatedly. But I don't know. Takui, I haven't heard much about him. Ryoma, not really. I like. It seems like most of what I've heard is like, Jojo is basically NA faker. Like he's gonna come in and.
I mean, counterpoint. Nobody's talking about KD as well. From TSM,
KD.
Right?
I feel like
he's not here yet.
I know, but people were hyping up Jojo before he played. People were excited to have Fudge. Well, they were hyping up Fudge before he started playing last year, and then I feel like they've hyped him up again now that he's come over his mid thing. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to have played to be getting a lot of hype.
I'll throw another angle at you. if those players were still starting in the league, Jojo would actually get more hype because he still would be on EG, right? We're assuming that he's still
Would
on his
he?
main team.
Like that's
If-
what's confusing to me is because
Yes!
like I was gonna bring this up because like I think part of it like it might be true. I might agree with the caller in terms of like these guys would not be getting this much hype, if only because I think what would happen is if Jiizuke and Jensen were in the league, they would be taking spots from
Palafox. Imagine CLG with Jiizuke and then Jojopyun and EG beat CLG. How much more hype does Jojo get?
Yeah, I guess I'm just more curious about where they land because I don't think that if Jensen's playing the league, in my opinion, it's because EG chose him or they didn't drop Jiizuke. It's not necessarily, or like one of them went to TSM or something. It's not necessarily because they're like gone to a bottom tier team.
Yeah. My take is that if those guys were still on, okay, it's not CLG though. You could argue like TSM, sure. If Jojo beat TSM, he would get more hype than if he beats KI Duo, who people don't know, even when he gets here, or these academy players right now. And I think the people who are actually would be the ones not getting time are the ones that aren't getting hyped anyways. Like, let's say you add a couple of these guys back in, and it's like Palafox and Takuli are the two that stay. You know, like we're not really going to be talking about them too much. So I think it's the people who are lower down the totem pole. Like Jojo was going to get hyped no matter what. He's earned it by being amazing in academy, by being really young, the Fortnite zoomer mechanics, the fact that he's coming in for EG and they preferred him over Jensen or whatever. Like all those narratives would have continued no matter what. I think it's the other people who are benefiting from the big dogs not being around.
Because JoJo's also on a team. It's not like he's paired alongside a lot of other academy proteges where you're saying, oh, okay, this is that full development team. We'll see what they do maybe in summer. It's like, oh, they're putting him on this team and you've got Vulcan. You're bringing in Inspired to come hang out in the jungle. You still got Impact. So like, yeah, there's a development aspect because Danny is in his sophomore year, but also only competed in one split last year. And then you have JoJo, but you wouldn't be investing in the talent around them to accelerate to that, you know, high competitive caliber unless you believed in them in the way that makes them competitive in your mind as an organization compared to picking up a Jensen. Yeah, there's price tag and things like that to consider, sure, but they're obviously going for competitive prowess and they trust in him with this roster. So that's pretty hype.
Franz, a question
Yes.
for you. What do you think Fudge and JoJo both have in common? Because I think there's another reason why they're getting hyped up.
They're both very young.
I was going to say that's true. I also think
I
they
know where you're
both
going.
have big personalities and talk a lot of shit.
Oh, true.
And so, like, when I go to here's JoJo since January 15th. Here is JoJo's tweets. Like, just I'll read them off because they're very short. January 15th. Why is everyone making a big deal out of TL's new mid laner? Who is this guy? Quote tweets that tweet after beating Bjergsen. This is your GOAT? January 16th. Not gonna drop one game this tournament. January 21st. Ha 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 ha. January 23rd. Can't wait to verse a autofill mid laner in semis. Like this is the only thing he's putting out there, and he's backing it up. So I do, and then Fudge similarly. Like Fudge comes in and it'll just be like, yeah, you know, last year I think he said something to the extent of like, yeah, I just don't think that there's really any good top laners, and like I'm the best. He said that like very quickly. You know, in fact, he got backlash in lock-in because he talked a lot of shit and then did not look good in lock-in and then proceeded to just continue to talk shit and was like, did I say all top laners are bad? I meant it, including myself. And then like continued to get good over the course of that. So I think like the secret is people like myself, people like the broadcast are going to get really excited whenever you have any player who's like, you know, I've decided I won't be branding myself as a piece of cardboard. I will be saying things and will talk shit and gloat after wins and talk shit beforehand. And so like that's naturally going to have people lean into it, you know?
Yeah.
So I think it's a variety of things.
Hey Peter, if you're still here, can you make Jojopyun change his name to or change his picture to not be DeMar DeRozan? I think that's DeMar DeRozan. It's small, I can't see, but
Peter,
I know.
Peter
I went
Dunn
and
is who
zoomed
you're
in on it
referencing.
the other day because I was like, who is this
Yeah.
in his profile?
Exactly. Can we get some branding help for JoJo? That would be great.
He's doing a good job so far, but he needs a
And
little
if
bit
you
of
could
help.
have the branding come from the person who was not in charge of the EG takeover of the LCS Twitter account, that would actually be very helpful. Okay. I think we just disagree with you, Franz.
I think what I was thinking is I totally love like Twitter engagement, and I've always been an advocate for that. I love JoJo's tweets and Fudge. Fudge is very good on Twitter as well. I think if Perkz, Jensen, and Jiizuke were still in North America, I think there is a very small chance that with Bjergsen coming back as well, JoJo would end up like in top 3 All-Pro. And I think without them, I think people are kind of expecting him to at this point after having played a few games. And he, like, granted, he does look good. Like, again, I'm not a JoJo hater. I'm super excited for him, and I think he's doing really well. But I think with the lack of pool in the mid lane, I think he's like if those players were still here, he would be getting smacked down a lot more than he is right now.
Well, I think there's a chance that there'd be more discussion about those players, right? Because it's hard to ever suggest that Jensen's gonna suck, or you'd have to talk about Jiizuke being number 1 All-Pro last year. But I think the conversation would probably, especially based off of if JoJo had a similar run like he's had so far and would shit talk in a similar way, I think it is tough to imagine a world where people would not be saying, "Wow, mid lane is stacked. You've got Bjergsen back, and you've got number 1 All-Pro for last year, which was Jiizuke, and you've got Jensen, who's always amazing and had a great Worlds run, and now you've got JoJo, who's like the rookie." Like, I think people would just fit all these narratives in. I don't necessarily think people would be like, "Oh yeah, there's a fucking 17-year-old, I guess, that joined EG. That's cool." Franz, thank you so much for the call. Anything you want to shout out before we take our final break?
Yeah, shout out my brother Sam in the chat. He's trolling around in there. Shout out to myself on June 8th. I came on Hotline League, and week 1 after Summer Split predicted Spica to be MVP, and I was slandered and maligned by Travis and Mark, but I ended up getting that right. Just kidding. No hard feelings.
I don't recall, and there's no evidence. Travis, delete the VOD.
No, love you guys. You guys are amazing content creators. Shout out Alienware and Game Fuel. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much for coming on. We'll catch you next time. All right. Our final break of the night is for Game Fuel, who we just shouted out. Thank you to Game Fuel for sponsoring Hotline League. Really appreciate them. They make delicious beverages, including this Charged Orange Storm, which you can go pick up over at gamefuel.com/Travis. If you decide to do so, please use code Travis at checkout to save on your order. They also have variety packs. There's a logo right below me. You can see a picture of the variety pack, or one of the variety packs that you can get at gamefuel.com. We also have a link in the description of this YouTube video, and if you would like to, you can also order them on Amazon if for some reason they do not deliver to your area in the US. But thank you so much to GameFuel for sponsoring the show. We really appreciate them, and please check them out if you can. Mark, you want to grab our last caller?
Yes, sir.
It's my Game Fuel, Travis. Do I have to call in with the hottest of hot takes?
Oh, the victory take?
So one of these? Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. If you would like that, you can definitely do that.
I will cook something up in my brain.
Is your space, is that like your office? Do you have a dedicated room just for this? Because I've realized, your backdrop is so specific.
Yeah, this is the office. My place is right here, and then my partner's desk is right here. So we always both have cool, fancy things in the back.
That's super cool. Nice. Aemulator is here. Aemulator, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from upstate New York.
Gabby?
I have not lived there.
Okay, well, you know who has?
But I have been there.
Mark Zimmerman.
Hey.
Wait, we're in upstate New York. Rochester? Buffalo?
I go to school in Saratoga.
Okay.
And then I live in Boston other part-time. We've talked about this before.
Oh,
How do you feel about Saratoga, Mark?
You just said it wrong.
Aemulator, what do you want to talk about on the show?
I want to talk about 100 Thieves in particular. I I'll just go right out. I know Closer. I hope Closer's out of the chat, but I don't know if 100 Thieves should be like automatically assumed to be a title contender just because they won it last summer for a couple of reasons that both have to do with this lock-in and like the nature of how they won their title in the summer.
Well, I definitely don't think that they're like, I know a lot of people are predicting them to win lock-in, and I don't think that I may be going against the grain on this, but I don't think they're going to win lock-in. So.
Yeah. Sorry, that probably not at this
Aemulator,
point.
continue on. Sorry, continue. I'm just
Yeah.
making a stupid
Anyways,
joke.
I guess my general take is that they should not be assumed to be as strong in the spring or summer. I guess this is what I meant. Both having to do. Well, my reasoning is we have seen this team with an underperforming mid laner before, and that's not to say like Abadaga is like doing as little for this team as like Demonte or Ryoma was when they were struggling in the roster. But like we have seen over time how important it is for the 100 Thieves mid laner to be like very on point for the team, and that like without like a shot calling mid laner, like the whole team falls apart. Or not the whole team falls apart is maybe an exaggeration to say. But like the whole team definitely looks weaker as a result, coordination wise. I think like we've discussed in the preseason with the teleport changes that like it's going to be bot lane meta, and I don't know if FBI and Huhi have had like the performances of like the best bot lane in the LCS they did last summer, which is strange and like unfortunate because of like top lane not being as involved in the bot lane anymore. And like kind of my final point about it is that I think a lot of people assume that just because 100 Thieves won in the summer, that like means that they should be assumed that like they could do it again like with ease. And I definitely think they have the potential to do it again. But I think if you look at last summer, 100 Thieves had a lot of really advantageous like things going for them in the bracket. They lost that game that they put their academy team in for to get that eventually did get them better seeding, regardless of like whether you think it was a throw or not. 100 Thieves did was able to go to the losers bracket and beat Team Liquid off of momentum, which I think like is a thing you could argue is pretty important and was pretty important for Team Liquid's run as well in last summer. So I think there were like a lot of good things that were happening outside of like the team of 100 Thieves that were able to like give them such an advantage and win the spring or win summer last season. But I don't know if we can like automatically assume everything will go just as well for them this season.
Well, I don't think anyone's suggesting we should assume everything will go just as well for them this season. So
yeah.
I mean, but
especially
to his point, he's just saying that like there were things that went well for them last season that helped.
Yeah.
So
for sure,
you
and
acknowledge that.
You take those in context, and also like how 100 Thieves looked like in like at the end of summer, for example. Like they did not convincingly look like they were like a title contender. Like it was still pretty convincingly in people's eyes, like TL and C9, because I do think like maybe overperformance is the wrong word, but they did like step up for that playoffs that they had like a lot of advantages going into that helped them a lot. So I don't know if like, again, I don't know if anyone is like assuming they are just as like in the same shape as they were now that they like lost a dig, but like a lot of people are still hyping them up like to be one of the best teams in the LCS, and I just don't think that is true right now.
I mean, counterpoint to this though is they had a lot of things that went right for them last year. I think there's a lot of things that can go right for them this split. Like, look at their competition. TL, we have no idea when they're going to be able to run their full lineup. We have no idea.
True.
Like, TSM and C9 both are not playing with their lineups and are going to show up over here, and we're going to have to see how it goes, and they have 6 weeks to figure it out.
And they already can't beat Dignitas, Travis.
Yeah,
imagine how much harder it's going to be when these teams' lineups are actually here.
Yes, I think looking at the Dignitas series, it's really easy to beat down on 100T and be like they suck. But if we're just talking about the point on like the advantages that they had last year because of like the way things went well for them in the summer, I think it's very easy to say that things could go well for them again in the spring when you look at like it sounds like you're trying to say last year there were a lot of extrinsic factors that allowed them to not necessarily overperform, but to be in a good situation to win. And I am all just agreeing with that, and also pointing out that there could be, like, we are ripe for those for similar extrinsic factors to occur this spring, given the state of the other 4 teams in the top 5.
I guess that does make sense. I guess it's a little dissatisfying. Okay.
We got to get me and Gabby in here. Gabby, you want to go first on your opinion?
Yeah, sure. As far as 100 Thieves being a contender, I think that they still have a lot of strength to them in general. And when you see them playing the way they want to play and to those strengths and they're feeling good about it, then that's how you get those 3-0s in finals where, like you're saying, it's not like they went in as this clearly dominant team overall. I think there's still teams that can like give them a run for their money. And I don't think they were ever going to come in as like they're just going to come and dominate the entire time. I think that they made it very clear that they're trying to diversify their style. And we saw the same thing last year when they kind of like faltered for a bit. It was because they were trying so hard to commit to one level of play that then it got a little awkward if they had to diverge, or they were trying other things and it was just a big disparity between when they were trying to play through other lanes versus when they're trying to play through bots. So they're kind of like trying to work through that stuff. And there's a very different performance from them when they feel like they're on it and they all feel like they're feeling confident and good on the Rift, versus when you hear things like who he may be saying in that interview that they weren't feeling good going into the week, or, you know, you hear like, oh, they had nerves at this point in time going into this series. So I think there is just kind of a larger breadth between how they can perform based on a lot of those factors. But it doesn't mean that you can write off the fact that they can have those really star moments that can really put them at the top of it, you know? That makes sense.
Yeah. I think this series had a lot of things that went wrong for them. Like, for example, I was digging around the stats earlier today, and FBI had, in these 2 games, what would have been, if this was his average, the lowest 4% of bot laners in the entire league.
Oh my God.
So he got Caitlyn both these games too. So like, if you have 2 Caitlyn games, but you are averaging 10%, 4% for your lane, something is going off the fucking rails. And I don't think it's that FBI just sucks at Caitlyn right now. There are a lot of reasons that he did have that low of a number, but it's just to illustrate like how different this is from the game plan of like FBI pushes lanes, they win lane, closer plays for Drake, they do these kinds of things, yada yada yada. Like, this was such a different game plan that, like, I think there's a lot of truth in your take about how it'll be more difficult for them this year. There were these other things. They probably aren't like shoe-in favorites to make finals for spring or anything like that. I agree with a lot of that stuff, but I just think I look at this and I go, wow, this was a really fucking weird series that I did not like. And they have some things that they legitimately need to get better at. I don't want to just give them a free pass for losing it, but I can't imagine them playing this way for an entire split. I think they just done goofed.
Yeah.
And people say give Dig credit. I mean, it is fair that, you know, they did lose to the best team in the LCS right now. Dig is the number 1 team. So
yeah,
true.
There's almost, because yeah, like I think Dig did really well. And when I was watching the series, it made me think back to a moment I remember watching last year. I don't remember where it was in the season. It was sometime in the regular season. I don't remember who they were playing, but I remember it was when they were going through a little bit of that slumpy time where they did really well when they played through bot. And then when they tried to play through anything else or the game went differently, there was a bit of a struggle. And there was one point where Closer had a Rift Herald and there was like an opportunity to drop it top and try and play through the top advantage, and just like didn't play that way and seemed to like the team was really trying hard to like force like to play through bot even when it wasn't working out. And again, I don't remember the specific, but I remember this feeling of like, I feel like they know better than that, but they're like almost trying really hard to be like, this is what's doing well. And it's like, that was like something they were trying to do that game that then made them feel like they weren't like that necessarily 100% on, because there was like something that went on in the brain or like their cohesion where it was like, I feel like they could do better than this decision making, but it didn't quite happen. And like, that's like how it feels in some of these where I'm like, this isn't, you know, we've seen other play from them, and we've seen those high moments where you can't judge them off of this series. I think then they go back to the drawing board. They try to figure out like, why were we feeling a little wonky? Why were we having a hard time keeping up vision? Why wasn't it feeling like we knew what to do when that like bot plan wasn't working out? And then they figure that out, and then you get series where you're like, oh, they 3-0'd that because they really came through and workshopped and had a game plan.
All right. Just to chime in quick, there's a guy popping off in Twitch chat about giving Dig credit and all this stuff. I mean, we're talking about it from the 100 Thieves perspective because the
We
caller's
did the Dig thing earlier.
Yeah. The caller's take is about 100 Thieves.
Dig gets no credit. 100 Thieves sucks. All right? That's why they're not getting credit. Do you think Dig is going to fucking contend for like a finals position in spring?
Thanks for keeping it real, Travis. Even with the Dig people in here, you let them know. You guys fucking suck.
Bakery, I'm wearing a fucking Heroes of the Storm League shirt, okay? I support dead things, and that's why I am still going to support Dig, even though their chances of making finals are dead. Okay.
Dead.
Those of you that don't know, Bakery used to do Heroes of the Storm stuff. All right.
One of the last esports events of that game, RIP.
Yeah, well, good old. Maybe Microsoft will resurrect it. Where I was gonna say something very insightful before I just fucking trolled all the Dig fan, I should say. Okay, wait, what was it? It was about 100T and I was gonna ask you guys, Gabby and Mark. Do you think 100T Panic goes back to a single top laner after this? Like, do you think they're going to keep doing, like, we're sharing time, or you think they're just going to be like, fuck, okay, like, these 5 players just go?
Do we know how many scrims Tenacity was getting before this? Was it? I didn't know if you knew, Gabby, because I didn't know for sure.
Nope. I have no idea like how much they're actually utilizing both in scrims, and we only got to see the one game from him, right?
Yep.
From Tenacity, which just wasn't enough. I feel like to fully judge what he can bring through. It's like, all right, can him play. Cool.
Sorry, I was laughing at something from Twitch chat. I can't go to Yemen. I'm an analyst. Oh fuck! I missed that ad, dude. That ad played all the time, and I used to say that. It was my favorite shit to just say that. People had no idea what I was talking about.
Mark, do you think they Panic go back to 5 rather than the stupid?
Get on the plane.
I don't even know what you're referencing.
Oh, it's these fucking Jack Ryan ads on Amazon.
But the Yemen thing's a Friends reference, right? From
No, it's this ad for Jack Ryan that played on Amazon Prime all the fucking time on Twitch, and it would be it just doesn't make sense. All right,
Mark, can we get back to things?
No, it's past 9 o'clock. I'm done.
Do they play their 5?
See, Chaz, Yemen is also Friends, so I was wondering if that was from Friend. Like they
is Tenacity's chances of playing in spring dead for the time being?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I can't answer that question. I'm an analyst.
Aemulator. Thank you so much for the call. Anything you want to shout out as Mark is losing his goddamn mind?
It's in Twitch chat. Just look at Twitch chat. It's the entire reference right there.
I need to see this ad.
I'll shout out. It's been a while since I've called. I'll shout out Mark Z. I was really sad to hear that you got like less time on LCS broadcast, but I'm super happy that you're still doing stuff anyways. You've always been one of my favorite analysts on the cast, so keep doing you. I wanted to shout out Grubhub because that is definitely the sponsor from Travis Gafford Industries I use the most in my daily life. So thank you, Grubhub, for sponsoring the show. And then I don't know if this is cringe or not, but at the end I just wanted to shout out myself because I've been having a really difficult time lately. So just coming on the show is difficult, but super nice to do. So I guess shout out to me for that.
Yeah, good job.
Yeah.
Thank you. Good night, everybody.
Good shit. Keep doing it. All right, catch you later.
I feel bad, right? Right when he was giving me a very nice shout out and himself, I was spamming Twitch chat. I'm sorry, Aemulator.
Oh, you're the stupid. I clicked it and it started playing.
Yeah. That's
or here. I'll listen to it. We'll play it.
Yeah, I'm playing her.
I can't go to Yemen. I'm an analyst. Get on the plane.
Oh, it started playing music at the end. I can't get DMCA'd.
I'm only human.
No, it's like 6 seconds. You can play it.
I got locked out of my Twitter earlier because of a DMCA thing, and I was like, "What is this?" And it was from some video I posted like 2 years ago.
Oh, you got DMCA'd?
Yeah, I like went in to go to respond to you, but then I was like, oh, I can't get into my account, and had to go and do the whole like read the terms thing and like.
Wow, that's fun. Cool. Well, anyway, that has been the show. Mark, you want to shout out? You got any plugs?
Shout out the Blame Game coming out on Wednesday again. Shout out Resin Refresh, which we'll be doing live here tomorrow. Travis, you need to update your show notes. I see the same shit from last week. You better
Tomorrow,
have done
well,
something.
here's the thing. Mark updates the show notes. I book our guests, and I should say we have Fobmaster on tomorrow.
Oh, nice.
Yes, you're welcome, Mark.
Okay,
sorry,
well,
continue on.
Now that you've finished that, you have about 12 hours to get some show notes in there. 15
Yes,
hours.
I need to do both. I'm doing a sponsored stream after this, so everybody stick around. It's very helpful if you do. And then I also have to do Resin Refresh and Rift Reaction show notes tonight, so it's gonna be a late night for me. Sorry.
All right,
continue,
well,
go on.
have fun with that. That's about it. Also, shout out everyone who watched me record the Blame Game live today on my Twitch. It's a good time. It's a hoot, and you get a lot more depth than I get to go into on the Blame Game.
Mark is promoting his own content instead of driving views to the YouTube channel. This madman. All right. Anyway.
Well, I shouted out the Blame Game first, which gets posted on your YouTube channel.
LeTigress. What do you want to shout out? What do you want to plug?
First, just thanks to everyone that had such kind things to say and stuff after this weekend. Definitely much more than I was expecting. So yeah, y'all are the real ones. And yeah, I'm on Twitter at LeTigress, and I think I'm starting to stream again. I streamed a little TFT last night, and I gonna keep chilling on the channel after like a year and a half of not. And look at this kitty, because kitty cats are amazing and should be allowed in all places, and including the chats of
Can't wait to have you back on again, LeTigress. It's very nice of you to.
You invited someone named LeTigress and
Yeah,
expect
tigers
them
are
to
not-
not. They're in
Nobody's-
the feline family.
Kobe is not trying to get me to get a tiger for the home. All right, this is a different.
Yo, there's
don't
there's
extend
cats
the
though that
war.
look somewhat like tigers, and when you like adopt one, they give money to saving real tigers out in the world. That's a thing. Go do that.
Everything's
want
just
cats.
timeouts.
You're killing it. All right. Thank you, LeTigress, for coming on. Congratulations on the cast this weekend. It was cool that both you guys were casting. I think that is swell.
Yeah. Thanks, Mark. Thanks, Mark, for good
No.
fun first cast times.
Thank you. It was my honor, and thanks for coming on Hotline League.
Are you?
First
Are,
time.
you, are either of you guys
this was a lot of
casting
fun.
this weekend? Do you know?
When can Mark? Do you know when we can like
I
say
don't
what we're
know.
doing?
I don't want to get in trouble.
Yeah, because I think it was like once you know you can say, but I don't know.
I mean, it's not like
Yeah.
they announce it. You guys just show up on the cast, so it would be weird to me.
I think it's
as
more
a
like
space, but-
contingencies. Like if we say something on Monday, but something changes on Tuesday or Wednesday, and then it's like already public. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I'm just not trying to piss anyone off.
Yeah, I don't know. Doing things.
All right. Well, here I assume we will see you again on the broadcast this weekend in some capacity, LeTigress.
We will both be on the broadcast, I believe, in some capacity, right? We can say that.
Correct. Yes, we can say that.
Dear God. All right. Thank you guys so much for doing the show. For me, I've got some great interviews. There's an interview that I did with Jojo where I asked him his opinion on Bjergsen. His answer, you won't believe it. It'll be going up tomorrow. And shout out to Rift Reaction and Resin Refresh, the alliterative podcast that I do on Tuesdays. You can catch those tomorrow. Well, I will record one tomorrow that'll come out on Wednesday, but they'll both come out over the next 2 days. And stick around because I am going to be doing a stream thing, and it's super helpful when you guys are here for that. Because if nobody watches me, then I will never get sponsored to do anything after Hotline League. So thanks. Anyway, we'll catch you next week for another episode of Hotline League.